Hello, my people. As promised, this is a video about polygamy in which you may have not considered. Um, there we go. First off, let me start off by defining what polygamy is. A polygamous relationship is when there is a man with multiple spouses or a woman with multiple spouses. A lot of times in the culture's community, got to put my quotations up, you don't think of it as something that a woman can do as well. One second. Real quick, I gotta represent black rice and brown rice, and then purple and green cabbage. Organic, vegan, delicious, and amazing for your body. Fiji water, it says it's alkaline and pH balanced. So if I had to choose a water brand, it'd be this one because it does what water should do for black people, which is alkaline you and be pH balanced. Okay. Couple of things. First off, this is a respectful view from it. I notice a lot of times when we have debates between pro-polygamous and pro-monogamous, the polygamists tend to get a little bit disrespectful and rude. Even with a video I've seen recently, I was like, ooh, well, damn. We have to understand first and foremost that you can do everything under monogamy that you claim you can do under polygamy. You can have sisterhood without having sister wives. It's not necessarily about who's all sleeping with the same person or who's all underneath the same exact household, because even in Africa there's polygamous relationships where the different wives have their own homes. It's about community. It's about unity and community. You don't have to sleep with the same person as four of the women to have unity and community. I can have a monogamous relationship and still care for other people's children, help out my people when they need it, have community dinners, all that. No matter what, I can still do all of that underneath monogamy. I am not citing either pro-monogamy or pro-polygamy. I'm just presenting some viewpoints that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to polygamy. If you must know, me personally, I don't think I'm capable of being in a polygamous relationship, and when I tell you things that people don't consider, you'll probably understand more so why. I do think polygamy is right for some people. First off, when it comes to polygamy, we say that we want it for nation building, we say that it's necessary for all that kind of stuff, but so long as we are in this system, so long as our people subscribe to this white male patriarchal supremacy system, so long as we have to go to work to get money and we have to pay a mortgage and a light bill and a water bill, so long as those things are the case, I don't think there's a possible way for you to have a successful polygamous relationship. Simply because the man's role is to protect and provide, right? So you're assuming that it's the man who's going to be going to work while, and this is again an assumption because when people talk about polygamy, they mostly talk about the man working and the women taking care of the different facets of the home. I think it makes more sense if the women all worked and the man stayed home with the kids all day, because there's multiple women and there's one man, and the main push on polygamy is the family structure, and we need more wholesome families and all that kind of stuff. If there's a polygamous relationship, say there's a man and he's got three wives. I don't know why I always say five, because I know someone who wants five wives, but a man's got three wives, and we're still in this system. He has to go to work to provide for those three wives, which means he's probably going to spend a lot of time at work. He finally gets home, and instead of having to concentrate his efforts on one woman, he has to divide himself for three women. That means that all three women is only receiving part of a man that they're giving their all to, and don't have children yet, because not only does this man have to divide his time between three different women, he has to divide his time equally among several children. That's not an easy thing to do when you get home from work at like 6 o'clock and you gotta be up at 8 o'clock and you wanna be in bed by 9. You got 3 hours to emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally satisfy three separate women, and you gotta spend time with them kids. Now, I think polygamy would be more ideal if we were in a Afrocentric or truth-centered society and a pre-colonial African state, where once you buy your land is bought, where we don't have to pay for things like water and electricity and stuff like that. If we were in that kind of state, then absolutely it would make sense to be polygamous because your father can be home and active, your husband can be home and active in everybody's life. He's going to have way more time to do that. We don't live in that. I think we're jumping the gun on polygamy per se. And again, there's the whole aspect of if you're going to be in a polygamous relationship, you have to be okay with the fact that it is strictly business. Because if you decide to get your emotions and stuff involved in something where you're never going to be fully satisfied in that, because if you're only receiving part of somebody, you're never going to be fully satisfied, um, especially when you're giving your all uh, into said relationship. But you have to be okay with the fact that you are here is to basically take care of the home, breed and raise kids. One of the and it's true that doesn't sound pretty, but that's what it is. That's what it comes down to with polygamy. And then I hear too many times people complaining about how all of our kids are being raised by women, where are the fathers, this, then the third. In a polygamous relationship, you have multiple women taking care of the kids. Now, with that being said, that goes, you can do that with monogamy. You got the mama, the auntie, and the grandma, and everybody raising all these kids. And the man is either out, in a polygamous relationship, he should be out working, protecting, and providing. But in today's society, he's out just out of the picture or he's out whatever. But the problem is you have these women trying to raise boys into men, and you have these women trying to raise girls into women. First off, I don't know about y'all, but girls need daddies too. We for surely do, because the mama can only tell you and show you so much. You need a dad, ladies. And men for surely need fathers just as much as they need mothers. So if we're complaining now about the fact that black women are doing all the raising and where are the fathers and this, that, and the third, why would we join a polygamous relationship to where it's going to be the same exact thing? If anything, don't complain about one if you're just going to do it in the other. The only difference is, you know, you're sharing a penis and he'll be home for a couple of hours. He'll be able to spend an hour or two with you if you're lucky a day. Um, and you have to pretty much be, I don't want to say low maintenance, but in order to be able to be successful in a polygamous relationship, especially as a woman, since we do see it as a man with multiple wives and we don't look at women with multiple husbands, um, you gotta be, you gotta be okay with sleeping alone. You gotta be okay with being married to somebody and you not being with that person. You have to be okay with him sticking his penis in several other women. Um, you have to be okay with all this stuff. And like I said, it's not for everybody. There's some women out there who ain't tripping. Me personally, that's the issue. I don't, if I'm, especially, I mean, I don't like sleeping alone, especially if I supposedly have somebody. There's no reason why I should be in my bed by myself right now. And I'm for surely not finna share my bed with my husband and his four other wives. um, and then I don't know if there's this fantasy going around or not what this idea is about, having, I mean, there's no orgies or nothing, none of that involved, I don't think, with polygamy. And I for surely, no offense, ladies, no shade towards you. I'm sure if I was hypothetically in a polygamous relationship, it'd be beautiful other women, all kinds of stuff. But the only female body I'm attracted to is my own. The only female body that makes me excited is my own. I don't feel no type of comfort toward being intimate with other women. It's just not for me. So even if you say, oh, well, you don't have to worry about sleeping alone, you'll still get to sleep with your husband and his other wives. Nah, fam. I can't do that. I just stopped sharing a bed with my sisters, and then he was and I went from sharing a bed with my sisters to sleeping on the floor. And every time I go back to visit my mom's, it's a matter of the floor. Oh my God, that couch. I can't do that couch no more. Or sleeping with my sister, and even still, it's just like, you know, you're too big for all that. And I don't know. I have a lot of personal issues, and I've been through a lot as a child to where my level of how close or touchy feely I can get with the female is incredibly low, and that's my business. So yeah, but the point of the matter is these are things that you have to think about with polygamy. Um, to wrap it up, because I know I'm as usual going a little over time. Things that you probably didn't consider about polygamy that you have to think about now. Everything that you can do with polygamy, you can do successfully in a monogamous relationship. You have to understand that when you are with somebody, especially sexually and especially with reproducing with somebody, you have to connect with them mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically on all those levels. And if you truly connect with somebody on all those levels, then you're not going to need anything else from anybody else because you're getting all you need from that one person. You have to understand you shouldn't be with nobody. You should not be exchanging energies. You should not be creating life with someone who does not match you on all four of those levels. It's dangerous. You know, when we look at, I mean, and yes, there was polygamous relationships in ancient Africa and in Kemet and all kinds of stuff. Not everybody wants to mention Kemet, but even when you look at the Ankh, the basic root of black love, it's not man, womb, 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 wife, or woman, 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 woman. It's man, woman, and life. One man, one woman create life. And you have to start with the root and basis first. If you don't have it down pat in a monogamous relationship, how dare you insult Maya? How dare you insult the Ankh? How dare you insult black love by considering adding more people to the equation? It's a lot of things to this that we have to think about. Again, not saying that polygamy is not necessary, not saying that it's not doable. I'm saying that I think we're jumping the gun to use it while we're still in these conditions. And I think that there's a lot of things that go toward it that you have to think about. And I think especially if you are pro-black in its truest sense and you respect the Ankh and you respect Heru and you respect Mayat in the other translations of the African spirituality principles that come with the other ancient African cultures, then you understand how sacred sharing your body and being in that type of relationship is with somebody, and you understand what connecting mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally does. And then you'll be able to understand that there's no possible way you can do that with multiple people because there's no way you can be all of 100% of everything if you have to divide yourself with the people. You cannot be all of yourself with each person. You're going to have to choose pieces. And the receiving people are going to only have to be okay with the accepting part of you. So those are some things to think about. Again, if you want to look at it on a very basic sense of nation building and all that kind of stuff, if you want to take African spirituality out of it, if you want to, take even the Ankh out of it and all that kind of stuff, then definitely it can be done. You have to be able to be okay with all of these things, and you have to still understand that again, it cannot successfully in its truest form and necessity that we call it for be used under the system that we are under today. Until we get back to our ancient African principles and whatnot, until we get back to that, until we are no longer in a Eurocentric society, until we are all as unified, stop subscribing from this white male patriarchal supremacy system, it's not going to work. Because you're still going to have a bunch of women raising a bunch of kids with a part-time father if you get that much. So long as he's going to have to work to provide, it's not going to add up. And you have the idea, like I said before, of multiple women in the relationship getting jobs, and then the husband staying home with the kids, or like you got like three wives and two of them work, and then the husband can stay home with the kids, and the third wife, all that time with the third wife, you have to, and that's another thing. You cannot sit here and lie to me saying that you're not going to have a bias or a nepotism. We are people. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm in a polygamous relationship and I have kids with my husband, regardless, the life that came out of my womb, The life that's sitting here for 9 months, the life that I pushed out of my vagina in 17 hours of labor, that life is always going to have priority over any other children. And people say, oh, well, you have to think of them all as your children. Absolutely, to an extent. But let's be real, Black people. We have this idea of romanticizing things, and it gets a little ridiculous. We have to be real with this. If the child that came out of you was in an extremely dangerous situation on some Saw type stuff, and the child that came out of your sister wife was over there in the exact same situation, and you were stuck directly in the middle, and you had to choose one to save because you did not have time to save both, you know your instinct would automatically go towards saving the one that came out of you. Again, be real. Because just like Malcolm X said, I can't be real with people who can't be real with themselves or real with me. I can't be nonviolent with people who are nonviolent with me. I can't be moral with people who are immoral. So with that being said, be real. If your child, the one that came out of you, is in a dangerous situation where, I'll make it even simpler. You got two buttons next to you. This button goes to your child. This button goes to your sister wife's child. And you're equidistant from each button. And you have 1 second to push a button to save one child. You can't push both buttons because you can only get to one side fast enough. You're going to push the button for your child. And I don't know what to say with anybody who says they won't. I don't want to be your child. But that's what it comes down to. You're gonna have a favorite wife, you're gonna have a favorite child, and I get it. Different people are good for different things. I have multiple friends. Some of my friends I'll go and talk to about this, and the other ones I can relate with about that, and this and the third. And I'm not gonna say who, but I do have favorites. I do have closer friends than others. I do have friends that get me a little more than others. And it's okay. It's called being a human and having relationships with people. No relationships are going to be exactly the same. No one's going to be equidistant. I cannot go to one friend for everything, otherwise I'd have one friend. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. I try to keep the videos around 10 minutes, but this is a hot topic, and I've been really trying to get my voice out there about it, but I haven't had the platform yet, and every time I've tried, there's been some complication with me getting in on it. So things you may have not considered about polygamy. And as usual, Black love, Black pride, Black power. I love you, my Black brothers and sisters. I really do. And remember to consistently check yourself and cancel that subscription. Where's it?